Waliwo abatandise okubeera nga beenoonyeza ebyabwe mu lutalo luno olugenda maaso ku mutimbagano okubeera nti Gen. Muhoozi yeefudde ekirala ate eno bannayuganda bwe balwanirira eddembe lya NTV ate eno bwe balwanirira eddembe lya Loopu Joel Ssenyonyi kaakati ate kwesa n'okulwanirira abalala abo abakwatiddwa ku mateeka g'omukulu Gen. Muhoozi. Munnange waliwo abamu abatandise okubeera nga babeerako ebyabwe bye beenoonyeza. Oluvannyuma lwa AI screenshot okutambuzibwa nga etegeeza nti Gen. Muhoozi yabadde agamba nti no asuddewo kitaawe ebbali atadde kitaawe ebbali kati ye pulezidenti afuga eggwanga lino Uganda. Munnange waliwo neera abafulumizza ka AI screenshot nga bali mu kubeera nga bakatambuza ka AI screenshot yako nga kategeeza nga omukulu Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu waavudde mu struggle era bw'atayina kizibu kyonna na Gen. Muhoozi kubeera president w'eggwanga lino Uganda. Abakakkiriza bo batandise dde okubeera nga bakakkiriza naye nga kabaleetedde nsobole okubeera nga ate mbategeeza nti bino AI tewali mukulu we yabiwandiikidde era nga bw'olaba nti ebigambo biri ebyasoose okutambuzibwa olunaku lw'ejjo lwonna nga Gen. Muhoozi bw'asazeewo okubeera ng'abeera pulezidenti w'eggwanga lino byabadde bya AI era omukulu oyo teyabiwandiise kati era eyakoze kali alabika ndowooza eyakoze ne kano bisobole okubeera nga bitambulira wamu kati omuntu bw'abeera abirabye asobole okugamba nti Muhoozi kasazeewo tukulembera kitegeeza nti Bobi Wine naye asazeewo abeere ng'akola ki nga struggle agivaamu era ono yawandiise n'agamba wano nti I will not be coming back to Uganda and I have no problem with MK Kainerugaba standing as president of Uganda and from there ndowooza yabadde ayagala kuwandiika from today I have left Ugandan politics everyone for himself now. Naye bino ebigambo eyabiwandiise bino bya AI amanyi omuntu AI esobola okukola buli kimu kyonna kyeyagala okukola. Ndabyeko awo waliwo abadde babikkiriza nga bagamba nti omukulu asuddewo struggle nga batandise okidiscussingako naye nga bambisibwe guli bino bigambo bya AI so omukulu tannaba kubeera nga abiwandiika tannategeeza nga bw'atagenda kudda Uganda nga bw'atalina buzibu na Muhoozi kwesimbawo ku bwa president wa Uganda era tannaba kwogerako nti avudde mu politics w'eggwanga lino Uganda so wonna wookasanga kano gwe manya bumanya nti ako ka AI ate mwana tusi bituufu. Kuleetedde amawulire amalala mangi omukulu Joel Ssenyonyi ono avuddeyo naye n'ayanukula Gen. Muhoozi Kainerugaba ate era mu ngeri y'emu kigambibwa nti Joel Ssenyonyi baagala kubeera nga bakozesa Oweekitiibwa Mpugga basobole okubeera nga Ssenyonyi bamuteeka emabega w'emitayimbwa. Ngenda kugakuwa mu bujjuvu kwosa n'amalala mangi. Ku SC News UG kwoli kansuubire nti muli bulungi mujebaleko gyonna gye mukwasaganya eyo atannaba ku subscribinga notification bell giseeko videos zino zijje gy'oli mu budde face to face dating site weebali okubeera nga bakufunira omwagalwa gwe yatalina enamba y'essimu ku screen yo aweri bakubireko weereza message ku WhatsApp okumanya ebisingawo. Ekisooka kya byonna ekitongole kiteekateeka ebibuuzo by'akamalirizo ebya PLE, UCE ne USCE ekitongole kye kya UNEB bano bwe batyo bafundikiddwa olunaku olw'olwaleero okuwandiisa abaana abanaatuula eby'omwaka guno 2026 era nga bategeeza nti bagenda kuwandiisa n'abo abalala abamiisinze okuwandiisibwa olunaku olw'olwaleero naye abo abamiisinze bajja kubeera nga basasulayoko akasente ak'enjawulo oba kayita ennyongereza. Yeso obanga olina omwana wo nga leero tasobodde kubeera nga awandiisibwa gwe ky'oba omanyi olunaku lw'onaamutwalayo kumuwandiisa ogenda kubeera ng'osasula akasente akalala ng'oyongerezaako kwako ke baabadde bakusabye mu ntandikwa kubanga omwana oba omututteyo leeti kubanga olwaleero lwe bakomekkereza okubeera nga bawandiisa abaana abo abanaatuula ebigezo eby'omwaka guno 2026. Kaakati munnange wano wetulaga wagenda kubeera wa tabbu tewagenda kubeera wangu yadde n'akamu n'akatini naye nga Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi ono bw'atyo avuddeyo nabeera nga yanukula Muhoozi nga sinnamukuteerako katusookere side wano munnange omukulu Honorable Richard Ssebamala ono bw'atyo yavuddeyo n'agamba nti twagala buli wa opposition aweebwa omukisa ogulonda omukulembeze. nze sirina buzibu oba tulonda Joel Ssenyonyi naye twetaaga democracy bw'ati bwegambye. Bakyalemedde ku nsonga ey'okubeera nti baddamu buto okulonda leader of opposition era batutegeeza dda nti ensonga ennekusifu eri emabega w'ekyo kwe kubeera nti Joel Ssenyonyi bamuggyako obwaloopu bafune omulala gwe babuwa ku sayidi ey'abano abavuganya ki gavumenti. Kati ate ye Honorable Edward Kikabi yagamba nti Joel Ssenyonyi nga loopu ye tamuyinaako buzibu kubanga amazima gali nti bingi ebirungi byakoze ki byakoze. Vidiyo yino kati ni kwongereyo.
Muganda wange Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi omulimu gwakoze nga leader of opposition nze nga Dr. Kikabi Edward bwe mugeraageranya ku minzaani ne banne bonna abaali bakoze omulimu ogwo sirabayo amwenkanye mu performance. Omulimu agukoze bulungi. Gavumenti atutadde ku bunkenke, atukubye amafumu, atukubyemu ebituli n'alaga ludda awo tulina okwefaako okuimprovinga mu Uganda awoomera obuweereza bwaffe. Ekyo nno kikoze kitya era kituyambye kitya? Kituyambye okusitula performance yaffe. Mu Uganda yali ayagala otujjamu essuubi awamu ne tuli muzzaamu nga tukola naye nga tusinziira ku kukolokotebwa Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi kwatukolokoseemu. Obuzibu bwange bwokka bwe muyinako oba oli awo bw'endowooza buyinza omuzaalirako abasamudda nti olumu mu bulungi bw'obwo ava ku nsonga eri mu ddiiro gy'abadde atadde gavumenti ku nninga ate n'alumba bassekinnoomu. Sometimes he digresses and instead of attacking the issue at hand he attacks the individuals and personalities. Ekyo bwe kituusa awo kyendowooza kyekyo kitayintinze legasse ye naye ekyo ng'okitadde emabbali. Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi bw'obanga otugoberera by'obadde okola mu mulimo gw'ogwo nyini gulu n'ensaako njagalire nnyo sigala ng'obikola kubanga obikola okutuwa obunkenke obugenda okusitula performance yaffe ng'ekibiina ekiri mu buyinza nze nga Kikabi n'enganyulwamu wa wano gy'okoma otukuba mu ttooki n'olaga obwandibadde ng'obunafu bwaffe gye tukoma okulwana okulaba nti tusitula omutindo Munnayuganda tumuweereze. Bwe tukikola Munnayuganda gy'agenda okukoma okutwesigisa akalulu akalala nabwe kiti abandibadde bakulembera emyaka 5 gyokka tuyinza n'okulembera emyaka 10 nga tusinziira ku ttooki bwetyo. So nandyagadde abantu abavumu nga Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi mubeere nga mujja mu bungi tutya nandyagadde ne bali bennyini ab'ebibiina ebirala bawulira nti si bamativu n'obukulembeze bwo nti kubanga walondebwa nupu yokka oba oli awo bandyagadde bagaziye besi n'ebibiina ebirala bironde ne ba independent bajje obulungi bwo bweyogerera bw'onooyesimbawo mu lwokaano n'abalala bonna. Nze mu kulaba kwange nnengera nti ku bulungi bwobwo bw'ojjako kiri obubi we buli obulungi bwobwo bw'onejja mu lwokaano ne banno ojja kusigala sitiru ng'okyabakuyakaga. So etteeka lijja mu mutima omulungi siraba nti lijja mu mutima mubi.
Weebale mukama wange.
Kati ne Lope Joel Ssenyonyi naye bw'atyo azzeemu okujjukiza abakulu abakulembera eggwanga lino obukulu bwa office eya leader of opposition. Ekiwamba abantu akyogeddeko awamu kw'ossa n'okulinnyirira eddembe ly'abannamawulire era ng'obubaka buno bw'atyo abwokereza butereevu ew'omukulu era ng'obubaka buno bugende w'omukulu General MK ate kw'ossa ne General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Vidiyo yino bino bye bigambo bye n'oluvannyuma nkwongereyo ku ki kye baagala okubeera nga bakozesa Oweekitiibwa Mpuuga okubeera nga Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi babeerako ne kye bamukola okumukakkanya.
The office of the leader of the opposition draws its authority and mandate from Article 82A of the Constitution, reinforced by the Administration of Parliament Act and given practical effect through our rules of procedure. It sits within the constitutional architecture through which Parliament holds the executive to account, a function that is not just ceremonial. Parliament was never designed as a passage point for government proposals. It exists to interrogate policy before it becomes law, to scrutinize proposals. It exists to ensure that expenditure is scrutinized before it is authorized, and to demand accountability after public resources have been spent. Where scrutiny is treated as obstruction, where disagreement is read as disloyalty, and where alternative ideas are dismissed as inconveniences, Parliament cannot discharge that function. Every mature democracy recognizes the opposition for precisely this reason. A strong opposition is one of the principal safeguards against the abuse of public power. Accountability is an act of fidelity to the people who elected all of us. And history will judge whether we proved worthy of that trust. The office of the leader of the opposition gives practical expression to these principles. It coordinates the work of the shadow cabinet, supports members through research and policy analysis, scrutinizes legislation and public expenditure, contributes to parliamentary business, and presents alternative policy proposals for consideration by the House. Equally important, the opposition chairs Parliament's accountability committees because oversight is strongest when exercised independently of those responsible for implementing government programs. That arrangement reflects a constitutional understanding that public accountability is strengthened when scrutiny is credible, objective, and fearless. Honourable members, throughout the 11th Parliament, the Office of the Leader of the Opposition advanced parliamentary accountability through alternative policy statements, alternative budget priorities, minority reports, petitions, motions, matters of national importance, and oversight visits to public institutions and government projects, all aimed at ensuring that decisions of this, our august House, were informed by evidence, alternative perspectives, and the realities on ground, rather than by the government's account alone. Honourable colleagues, as we begin the work of the 12th Parliament, we should remain guided by a simple but profound truth. The confidence of the people in this institution will depend less on what we say or what we do. The confidence of the people in this institution will depend less on what we say than on what we do. Every law we pass, every budget we approve, and every oversight report we adopt must answer one fundamental question. Will this improve the lives of the people who entrusted us with their vote? The Constitution has entrusted Parliament with 4 cardinal responsibilities: to legislate, to represent our constituents, to appropriate public resources, and to hold the executive accountable. None of these functions is superior to the other, and none should be exercised casually. Laws shape the character of our nation. Budgets reveal our priorities. Oversight determines whether public promises become public services. When any of these responsibilities is weakened, Parliament itself is diminished. Permit me, therefore, to offer 3 reflections that I hope will guide our work during this Parliament. First, let us safeguard the independence of Parliament. The authority of this institution does not rest in its buildings, its procedures, or even its traditions. It rests in the confidence that Ugandans have that their representatives can deliberate and decide freely, guided only by the Constitution, the law, and their conscience. Secondly, colleagues, let us protect the culture of meaningful debate. We shall not always agree, nor should we. Democracy was never designed to eliminate disagreement. It was designed to ensure that disagreement is resolved through reason rather than through intimidation, through persuasion rather than coercion, and through constitutional processes rather than arbitrary power. A parliament that welcomes diverse opinions almost always produces stronger decisions than one in which only one voice is heard. So, even though we sit on different sides of the House, we are not enemies, colleagues. And we should always be open to criticism and divergent views. Thirdly, let us defend the principle of accountability with equal determination, irrespective of who occupies public office. Public resources belong neither to government nor to Parliament. They belong to the people of Uganda. Every shilling appropriated by this House carries with it a solemn obligation to account for how it is spent. That obligation does not change with political seasons because accountability is the currency through which citizens place their trust in public institutions. Holding government accountable, colleagues, is not just to do with how money is used, but also how power and authority is used, and how the laws that we pass as Parliament are adhered to. Colleagues, it should bother us, all of us, regardless of our political differences, whenever we see a disregard for the rule of law. We are the ones who make these laws, we, as Parliament. So it's incumbent upon us to defend these laws. For example, the Constitution provides for how suspects are apprehended. A constitution that was made by Parliament. But we see people being abducted and kept in incommunicado detention for days without access to family or lawyers. And some are even tortured while there. Colleagues, this is wrong. And we, the people's representatives, ought to condemn it and ensure that it doesn't happen. The most recent victim of this is the Honorable Miriam Atembe, former MP, former minister. She participated in the formulation of our Constitution. For someone who took part in creating the foundation on which we stand, the least we could do for her is follow the right procedures if the state is interested in her for any legal reason. Besides, colleagues, criticism should never be an offense. I've heard some people say that those criticizing should always do so respectfully. And I agree. However, respect should be on both sides of the coin. Both sides, at all times. Right Honorable Speaker, you made it clear in your remarks shortly after being declared Speaker that the media should be able to operate freely. And those media houses that had been banned from accessing Parliament eventually returned. Today, we see the same media houses that belong to Nation Media Group being shut down arbitrarily because they are holding us leaders accountable. UCC, which is the regulatory body, has said it does not know the circumstances under which the closure happened, but that it will investigate. Colleague leaders, it is in the best interest of all of us to see that institutions are functional and that the rule of law is respected. May we all, regardless of our different political parties, strive to see that this happens. History has consistently demonstrated that nations are transformed, not just by visionary leaders, but by strong institutions. Governments come and go. Political parties win elections and lose them. Parliamentary majorities change with time. Yet the enduring strength of our republic will depend upon whether institutions such as Parliament continue to command the confidence of those they were established to serve. As the leader of the opposition, I give this assurance. We shall discharge our constitutional mandate firmly, responsibly, and patriotically. We shall scrutinize legislation with diligence, examine public expenditure with rigor, present alternative proposals with honesty, and hold the executive accountable with fairness. Where government actions advance the national interest, they will find constructive support from us. Where they depart from the Constitution, however, and undermine accountability or fail the people we all represent, we shall speak with clarity, conviction, and respect for this institution. Allow me to conclude where I began. We are part of this House at the behest of the people of Uganda. That confidence is not a permanent possession. It is a trust renewed only through faithful service. Long after the speeches we make have been forgotten, and long after the divisions in our chamber have faded into history, one question will remain. Did our service strengthen Parliament and improve the lives of our people? If at the end of this Parliament, our citizens have greater confidence in their institutions, stronger faith in the rule of law, and renewed hope that public office exists to serve the public good, then we shall have honored the oath that we took, honorable colleagues, and we shall have justified the confidence placed in us. I appeal to all of us, therefore, to work together, all of us, for the good of this our nation. The Constitution entrusted Parliament with immense powers because it trusted Parliament to exercise those powers wisely. May history record that the 12th Parliament proved worthy of that trust. I thank you for your kind attention, and I say this for God and my country. Thank you.
Kati eyonga nkujjeeyo wano ewa Lady Alison agamba nti General MK agala kozesa Oweekitiibwa Mpuuga bateeke Joel Ssenyonyi mu komera video yino bw'ati bw'agamba.
That is how Museveni operates. I feel sorry for people who still think they're special. They are both a boss. I saw him taking Anita Among to the hospital. It is sad because that is truly likely his future. But he won't see it right now. He thinks he's in things. He thinks he's an NRM. Why don't you wonder why there is not a Munyarwanda in that seat and making all these illegal laws, passing all these illegal laws in Uganda? Why is it a Ugandan in that position? And why must they go that way? How many have gone? How many? There's now a big ploy about Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi. Apparently Muhoozi wants to make sure that Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi is not the leader of opposition in Parliament. I don't know why he thinks he has the powers to discontinue or choose or pick somebody, because his party is illegal in Uganda. He doesn't, PLU is not registered, it's not an opposition, it's not part of NRM, it's not registered. It's not even an LLC. The name came up and it spread like fire. So anyway, this thing with Joel Ssenyonyi, Muhoozi wants desperately to put or replace him with Mpuuga again. Mpuuga is behind the ploy, behind arresting Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi and putting him away in the cells, in jail, for the longest period possible. Here's how they want to do it. Remember when they said that they've given Kabanda the legalities to read into about how they can get a different leader of opposition? The reason behind that is that Chiriowa Chiwanuka and Karujire have already come up with a ploy of how they are going to operate to be sure to get Joel Ssenyonyi away from the leader of opposition position. That is the big idea. The ploy about trying to arrest Honorable Joel Ssenyonyi that they are all talking and speaking about very proudly, the PLU people and Muhoozi. Muhoozi says he's the one who's going to appoint a leader of opposition. Despite being nothing, he's only a CDF in the country. That's all. His party is not legal. His party does not stand any ground right there. Okay? But because of the powers given to him by his father, as always, he never earns anything on his own. He's given these positions on the dinner table and say, you take it and do this. He feels like he's all that, but he's not. So the ploy is that Chiriowa Chiwanuka and Karujire have already worked up a situation where they will, Joel Ssenyonyi will be arrested by Muhoozi. In the meantime, they will figure out how to get rid of Javira, the MP of Nyendo Mukungwe, who succeeded the election against Mpuuga in the last election. Once Javira is out of the picture, Mpuuga then well, that area will have a by-election. Then Mpuuga will become a member of parliament of Nyendo Mukungwe like he used to be until he lost it to the NUP, National Unity Platform member of parliament called Javira. Then at that point, Mpuuga comes back as the leader of opposition in parliament. Now, you will all remember that when people like Nsereko come out and say, how come Joel Ssenyonyi is earning this much as a leader of opposition? It begs the question that different from who? Because when Mpuuga was leader of opposition, he earned what Joel Ssenyonyi is earning now, and also stole 500 million or was bribed by 500 million from the office of the commissioner, obviously from the Museveni, for doing his spying job at National Unity Platform. When I forget what her name is, the leader of opposition from Winnie Kiza, when she used to be the leader of opposition, she got the same pay. Nobody questioned it. When Betty Aol, Honorable Betty Aol, was leader of opposition, she got the same package for being a leader of opposition. When Ogenga Latigo, professor, was leader of opposition, he had the package of a leader of opposition like he should be. When Nandala Mafabi was the leader of opposition at the time, he got the same package that leaders of opposition should have. Why then and now are they questioning what Joel Ssenyonyi is getting as part of his job and his office? All of this is a ploy to try to get Joel Ssenyonyi out of the leader of opposition position. But if that does happen, everyone should get really, really riled up to make sure that you give these people a piece of their own cake, okay? As much as possible. Let's keep fighting, because in every effort they're trying to do, they want to take as many powers away from National Unity Platform and potentially shut the party altogether, okay? So all of these avenues, as you know, there's the Lukwago thing they're trying to, they tried to work with, that didn't work. Besigye didn't work. Now they're trying to do this with pushing for the arrest of Joel Ssenyonyi. Honorable members of parliament for National Unity Platform, if Joel Ssenyonyi is taken in, you make sure you don't show up and you're not participating as a member of parliament. In solidarity, because these people have to be shown. Museveni got used to looking democratic by having all this positioned and designer opposition who are all working for him. All of a sudden, we have National Unity Platform, we have we have His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. All of a sudden, the opposition has become a threat to him because it's the true opposition. So I wanted to speak about those two items. Anita Among, I am, as a human being, I'm deeply sorry. You saw where this was going because your predecessors have both gone through it. You ignored all the signs. You took in and took out the people who really care for you. The Ugandans who right now would be thumping for you if something happened to you. All of them, you said the Baganda should not get numbers. You made sure you were unopposed. You made sure your husband is unopposed. You made sure Honorable Segirinya died in prison. All of these things, unfortunately, you make your bed and sometimes you lie in it. It is sad because you're a human being. And I forgive you as a person for my own good, but I can't control what happens to you. Somehow, especially the ones who are still out there and have not met these experiences, can you learn something? Learn that if you are not a Rwandese, you are not an NRM in favor. You are an outlier, and any time they will get rid of you. I know that some of us here are struggling to stay on the right side of history, to stay, doing the right thing, and I know it is difficult. But I can promise you that somehow, whatever you do, or whatever they are doing to Ugandans, they are getting tenfold of what they're doing to us. What they're facing is worse than what we are facing. Can you imagine how fearful the Museveni people are to even look outside or walk freely in this country called Uganda? Do you know how much they go through because of the atrocities they've committed, that they cannot enjoy food in their mouth? They cannot feel warm when they cover themselves. They cannot feel good when they dress. They cannot walk freely out there and do whatever they want. They can't just wake up and think about what to do and do it. We don't want that. But unfortunately, as the president, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu said, he said, you will know and see them by what they do. Unfortunately, everyone remembers. Everybody remembers how you treated them. We will always remember how we are treated more than what you ever gave anyone. So you NRM people, tone down on the atrocities, tone down on the inhumane treatments, tone down on what you are doing to people. All of you Acholi leaders who are trying to take Kaunda ground on behalf of Salim Saleh and share it amongst yourselves. You know, people like the Todwongs have 4 acres of a piece of land that is the only thing that is left in Gulu for the regular Acholi person, a neighborhood that we're all familiar with growing up. These NRM executives, the leaders, the Todwongs and all of those people have decided to take up this place called Kaunda ground, split it amongst themselves like pizza. Everybody take a piece. All because they feel like they're powerful today. I'm telling you, it is temporary. Your power is temporary. The people like Todwong, I pity you. You are not too far. You're not too far from when they attempt to do something. You're not far. You're very close. If they feel like you should go like Honorable, like Lokech, like Honorable Jacob Olanya, trust me, it doesn't take much. It does not take much. When you're drunk with power, for now, you can feel all of that. And I'm saying Honorable Mao is at the blink of getting sanctioned because an organization in Australia has filed an appeal because of the Atiak sugar factory land that was taken from the people without compensation. Do you see how they use Ugandans? They used Honorable Mao to steal this land from these people, leave them homeless, leave them hopeless, and now Mao is the one facing the chopping block. It is not the Salim Salehs who push you people. NRM, you are like dogs to these Rwandese people. They don't care for you. They don't love you. They don't want you. They don't want you. Unfortunately, what is that place called? Anita, where she comes from, is going to bury her. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. Your child, who you sent to represent you, Bukedia, you are going to bury your own. All because they grew too large for life. My brothers in the north, tone down. Let people be. Must you have 3,000 square miles? One person? Why? Why must you take it away from somebody who can barely have something else other than that piece of land? Now imagine Anita amongst children. She has 2 twin girls or twin boys. Twins. Babies. When she was doing what she was doing and saying Baganda should not get numbers, she did not think about these boys, these babies. You people must think that you have a future, that this is not it, that the office that you hold is not it. I've seen many members of parliament walk on foot after being members of parliament for a while. There's no continuance. That position and power is extremely temporary. Even worse, It is controlled by these people who set the timer. You're on a loaded bomb. When they feel like it should explode, they just detonate. The things that people go through. Yes, Navas. Honorable Segirinya went to the most atrocious experience in prison, poisoned, ill, lost everything. His parts burned, beaten, cut, all kinds of things. The man went from a human size to a minimum light small. All because Anita Among was too big to see Honorable Segirinya. For that, I don't blame anyone who will not forgive her. I don't blame anyone who thinks she made her bed and it's time for her to lay in it. I don't blame anyone. For your own sake, you choose where you want to be. But I hope this is a big indicator to those NRM people who are still bulldozing people, thinking that their life is made. You are either in NRM, meaning you are Munyarwanda, or you are for NRM and you're an outsider. You can be ousted at any time. Don't be a dog, because that's who you are right now. Even if you work for them, you must not always perform the atrocities that they choose to do. It's logical. You policemen, you military, you NRM with power, you people coming to steal land in Acholi, everywhere you come to steal land. You people breaking people's homes in the slums and everywhere. You people saying Sijui wetlands, NEMA and all these things. Why must you do that? Must you participate? Don't you care about your children? It's about time. Anita Among is a real example. Real example. You either take it or you leave it. Believe me, you make your bed, you lie in it. Apples are not oranges. You will reap what you sow. His Excellency says that all the time. We will see them by their actions, and people will always remember how you made them feel. Whatever you do, we will not forget. Remember, you have children who still have to live amongst us.
Onunya mwagalwa nawe wono buwulu wegate ku face to face dating site esokedde mu Uganda jangu sisinkana omuntu wo munywe mu chai wamo nga bwe mumwenya olwo mukonekitinge todamu kusula nga bwezinze nga Rolex nga face to face dating site weri ate ebyaffe tebiri mu kumenya mitima okumanya ebisingawo tukubire ku 0746 oba tuweereze ka WhatsApp message tukudde mu bunnambiro face to face dating site twaze kugwa buwulu mu gwanga.